So today's article starts out by saying, past the Chime Museum's outdoor sculptures, visitors are charmed by the exhibition's 4 indoor sections: insects, fish, birds, and mammals. Now, the first noun we saw in that sentence that we're going to look at today was section, spelled S-E-C-T-I-O-N, section. Now, a section is one of the separate parts of a whole place, structure, or group. So, in this exhibition, there's an outside section and 4 inside sections of the whole thing. Now, for example, we could say the 3 different sections on the exam will be reading, writing, and listening.
We also saw the word insect. Now, that's a noun, and it's spelled I-N-S-E-C-T. Insect. That is a small creature that has 6 legs and sometimes has wings. Okay,
so if it's scarier.
Yeah, if it's insects or anything like mosquitoes, flies, spiders, all those kinds.
Not spiders.
Or not spiders. Spiders have
8 legs.
8 legs.
Right.
It's got to be 6.
Yes.
6 legs. Spiders would be something else. For example, my sister loves studying insects. She's always reading books about ants and beetles. Okay, those are 2 good examples of insects.
Right. And we saw the noun mammal, spelled M-A-M-M-A-L, mammal, which is a type of animal that drinks its mother's milk when it's young. For example, humans are mammals. Dogs and cats are also mammals. Another example we could use, we'll be studying mammals in science class next week. I think we're starting with whales.
People don't often think of mammals as being in the sea, but yes, of course, whales are mammals. They drink milk and they have live births.
Yes.
They don't come from eggs or anything like that. Now, the article goes on to say, in the insect section, visitors find a series of bright photographs of flowers taken at close range. So it's a series of photographs. A series of is a phrase we often see, and it means a set of similar things that can be seen together, or like several similar events that happen one after the other, like in a row.
Yes.
Okay. We could say we're going to watch a series of short movies about this subject in class today.
Now, we also saw the phrase at close range. We could also say at short range. Now, at close range means the small distance between 2 things. So we're standing at close range here. Another example could be the soldier had been shot at close range. That means the gun was very close to the soldier. Now, in this example, in this sentence here, we talked about how the camera took close range photos. So the camera would have been very close to the flower when it took the picture.
Now, why do they do this? Why are the photographs taken at close range to the insects? Well, it says this allows people to view these natural elements the same way that insects do. So we often talk about like a bird's eye view, like looking at things from above, looking down. This is like a bug's eye view of the world. We see the world the way that these insects do in their natural environment.
Now, I think that's really interesting, not only to see the insects, but to see the inside of the flower.
Yeah, that would be cool, because you wouldn't normally see that.
See something like that,
You pick a flower up and you might smell the flower, you know, stop and smell the roses, that sort of thing, but you wouldn't be able to see inside and see all the details, which are usually pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, the article goes on to say, in front of the images, a tree made of metal winds its branches around the room. So we saw the word image here. Image, spelled I-M-A-G-E, is a noun, image, and it's the picture you see on a TV, computer, or movie screen, or the picture you see in a photo. For example, Ryan stared at the image of the sad woman, wondering what she was thinking about when the photo was taken.
Okay, so we saw the word branch. That's spelled B-R-A-N-C-H, branch. And a branch is just the parts of the tree that grow out of the trunk. For example, the leaves of the tree will fall off the branches before winter starts. Yes, that's what happens in the fall in colder countries, or in the higher elevations of Taiwan, like up in the mountains. You'll sometimes see the leaves change color. They go from green to orange and red.
Red and yellow.
And then they fall off, and then they're on the ground on the forest floor.
Right. So that sounds like an interesting exhibit. It's got this big metal tree in front of these photos of flowers and insects. But if we're going to move on to the next section, the article says, moving on to the fish section, visitors can see a peaceful underwater world floating in the air above their heads. That sounds pretty cool, but let's look at the phrase move on. Move on means to leave one place and travel to another. For example, after visiting London, we'll move on to the countryside and stay in a small inn.
Okay, moving on to the countryside. And we have moved on to the next section of this exhibit. This is the underwater world, and there we will also see fish, sharks, and other sea creatures fashioned from paper swim in the light. Okay, this is interesting. We're seeing a lot of different things from nature made from some interesting materials here. We saw the phrase be fashioned from something. These things were fashioned from paper. That's when one thing is made from other materials.
Right.
For example, these chairs were fashioned from the wood left over from our building project. So remember that phrase, be fashioned from. It doesn't have to do with fashion, like clothing. It's to make something from something else.
Right. Now the article goes on by saying they, which is the fish and other sea creatures, they cast soft shadows on the floor, creating the feel of scattered light underwater. Now we saw the verb cast here, spelled C-A-S-T, cast. Now, to cast something is to make light or shadows appear somewhere else. For example, the candle's flame moved in the breeze, casting dancing shadows on the wall. So the light hit the flame, or the wind hit the flame, and the shadow was put onto the wall, was cast onto the wall.
We also saw the adjective scattered, S-C-A-T-T-E-R-E-D, scattered. That means spread over a wide area, or it can mean over a long period of time. For example, we could say the red and yellow leaves were scattered all over our backyard. Yes, in the fall, the leaves fall. I believe that's where we get the name from. They fall to the ground all over your yard, and if you have a backyard, you have the pleasure of raking them up into a big pile.
And jumping.
And then you can jump into them. That's a lot of fun too.
So the article says, many of the exhibition's works are made from eco-friendly and recycled materials. Now, here's where we're getting into our environmentally friendly stuff. So the verb recycle, spelled R-E-C-Y-C-L-E, recycle, means to use something again, often for a different purpose. For example, these shoes were made of recycled plastic bottles.
Okay, this is a big trend nowadays. We're seeing more and more things recycled, like plastics and glass and paper, and made into other things that we can use. We're not just throwing them away. And wasting them. Now, the article goes on to explain the remarkable artworks remind people of the beauty of the natural world and the importance of protecting it. Okay, we're describing these things as being remarkable. Remarkable is spelled R-E-M-A-R-K-A-B-L-E. Okay, remarkable. That just means unusual or surprising in an impressive way, and it makes you want to remark or to say something about it. Okay, you notice it and you want to say something about it.
Right.
For example, Jill has shown a remarkable talent for painting. Is she taking art classes? Okay, so if you see something that makes you take notice, you can describe it as being remarkable.
Good. We also saw the phrase to remind somebody of something. When you remind somebody of something, you help someone remember about something important they need to know or they need to do. So, for example, I have an alarm set on my phone to remind me of our meeting this afternoon. I need to remember this meeting, so I'm setting an alarm to remind me of it.
Okay, that's a good way to remind yourself of everything. Good thing we have smartphones today that can help us out with this. Next, the article says, at the Chime Museum, the colorful, creative, and creature-filled exhibits prove a picture truly is worth 1,000 words. Okay, well, this is an exhibit. We kind of covered that yesterday, but let's go through it again. It says, it's an object that is part of an exhibition. So the exhibition is the whole thing.
Right.
It's the larger part. An exhibit is the smaller things that are a part of it. So we went through the different sections of it, of this exhibition, and those are the exhibits. For example, the name of each exhibit can be found on a piece of paper next to the item. We also saw a phrase there, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's go to our shortcut for you all about that phrase right now.